Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about an animal that may have killed as many as 400 people, the Panar Leopard. Now the Panar Leopard is a man-eater, which meant that he ate humans as part of his normal diet. This is my fourth real-life monster about animals that become serial killers. In my last video I talked about the Tsavo lions, which is this strange situation where there were these two male lions that ate tons of locals in the late 1800s in Kenya. But let's get into today's real-life monster. The Panar leopard was an adult male leopard that lived in the Panar region of northern India. It began attacking humans in the early 1900s, although the exact date isn't known. It reportedly killed more than 400 people, making it the second deadliest man-eater in history. Now, a single leopard killing 400 people in the early 1900s seems crazy, but you gotta keep in mind there's reasons that this happened. Between 1875 and 1912, 12,000 deaths were officially attributed to leopards in just India. Before I did research into this, I had no idea that leopards were so deadly. Anyways, the Valley of Panar is this area where all this occurred. It was a remote, out-of-the-way area where you had to travel on foot to get there. In addition to all that, firearms were really rare in the area, and the leopard would attack villagers as they were returning home from work at dusk, or even enter their homes at night and eat victims without even having much of a threat. Eventually, hunters and authorities attempted to trap or shoot the leopard, but they were all unsuccessful. The leopard was so elusive that it was almost never seen despite so many attacks, until it eventually grew so bold that it would enter people's homes and drag victims off in front of their families. The leopard was eventually killed by Corbett. Corbett was born in India and started out as a simple railway employee. Later in life, he became a colonel in the British Indian Army, but most interestingly became a really famous hunter who killed a lot of man-eating tigers and leopards in India. During his hunt of the famous Champawat tiger, which I'm going to be talking about in my next video, word reached Corbett of a prolific man-eating leopard. So in April 1910, he was taken to meet a couple that had just been attacked by the leopard the previous night. The husband was mostly uninjured, but the wife had been dragged across the room by her throat and had suffered several claw wounds as her husband struggled to prevent the leopard from dragging her away. Eventually, through the struggle, the leopard released her, but spent the rest of the night trying to make its way back into the home. It disappeared into the forest shortly before dawn. The woman's wounds were infected, and Corbett judged that she would probably die regardless of medical attention. He later wrote about how he hopes nobody else would be subject to such a horrible attack, and that this was just terrible that this happened to this woman, this man trying to grab his wife from being drug away by this leopard. So Corbett staked out the house where the dying woman was at overnight, and he believed that the leopard was circling the home at night but never showed itself. One source stated that leopards typically attack their prey by the throat or the nape of the neck. A bite from a leopard can lacerate or sever the jugular veins and carotid arteries, causing rapid blood loss. And the spine may be crushed and the skull perforated, exposing the brain. Survivors of attacks typically experience extensive trauma to the head, neck, and face. This source also stated about how leopards like to hang its prey in trees before returning to the corpse over time. And as a result of this, leopards have mouths that contain a lot of bacteria. So before antibiotics, 75% of survivors would die from infections from the leopards, which is just insane. So pretty much if you get bit by a leopard, you're gonna die. Anyways, after Corbett failed this hunting attempt at this victim's house, the following September, he went to a village where 4 men had been killed in a recent string of attacks. So Corbett put out 2 goats as bait, hid, and waited. And the leopard was actually able to snatch the first goat completely unnoticed, but 3 days later returned during the night for the other goat. Unable to see, Corbett fired a shot at the sounds of the leopard attacking a goat and wounded it. Not the goat, the leopard. Then he organized a group of men to walk in a line with torches in the direction that the leopard had gone. When the leopard had finally appeared, the men with him dropped their torches and ran, but Corbett was able to use the light from the fallen torches to shoot and kill the leopard. Corbett reported that the leopard appeared to be in good health, and when he examined its body, he theorized that this man-eater had gotten a taste for human flesh after feeding on victims of a severe cholera outbreak that had just happened in the region. Which this is actually just like another incident that's actually more popular, the leopard of Rudeprague, which he killed several years later. This leopard began attacking people in 1918 after the influenza epidemic. Thousands of people in India died from influenza, and the leopard started eating humans. Corbett wrote in his book, ManEaters of Panar, a leopard in an area which its natural food is scarce, finding these bodies very soon acquires a taste for human flesh. And when the disease dies down and normal conditions are established, he very naturally, on finding his food supply cut off, takes to killing human beings. So pretty much this is something that has happened a few times. The leopards start eating people because of a disease, and then once the supply is cut off, they just start killing. Which is really interesting to me that leopards are so deadly. I had no idea, considering they're smaller than lions and tigers. But it's so interesting about their mouth just being really deadly. Like, you get bit by a leopard, you're probably going to die. At least in this time period, not really today. I mean, kind of today too, but like if you survive, you're probably going to die back then. And that's it for my 4th man-eater in this series. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked it. The Panar Leopard was probably the least well-known of all the man-eaters I'm covering, but it's definitely just as terrifying, if not more terrifying, than the rest. Leopards are really skilled predators. They mainly hunt at night, which is terrifying, and they're extremely stealthy. Just the nature of how they kill their victims and hang them in trees, that's just nuts. Thank you guys for watching. This is the second to last video in my series. I'll be doing a really special one as the finale. So if you guys like this, hit subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Over and out.